Source of J Advanced 2022 problem. Interesting topic. Just after the exams paper were officially released on Monday, a lot of brilliant teachers solved the paper. So we are definitely not going to solve the JE paper. Neither we are going for analysis that what percentage of questions were asked from calculus, 30%, what percent of questions were asked from coordinate, what percent of questions were asked from complex number, like this. What were the differences between the papers of 2019, 2020, 2021, 2020? There's a lot of differences. Obviously, every year different IIT creates the paper, a panel of professors are responsible for that. They create their own questions, but yes, there's a fact that some questions motivation, some questions ideas are extracted from the well-known sources. Now that's not generally known to the students. That's restricted to a peer group, you can say. So those are the sources that today we are going to disclose. So let's go for the first example. This question from complex number. According to the analysis in students, the question paper was a bit lengthy, but this question is probably you can solve this question in the least time, and every problem has a motivation. So before that, understanding the motivation, from where was this question extracted? This is just the replica of this problem, with values a little bit altered. Now, what is the source of this problem? We'll definitely disclose the source. Just wait a bit. Let's look into the solution of this problem, because we have the solution for this problem. A lot of people have proposed the solution, though we'll give you the solution for this problem also. But let's look into the solution of this problem. See, what is the motivation of solving this kind of problem? Whenever we know that a complex number is given that belongs to real, we can use that z equals to z bar concept. This is the most useful concept for such kind of problems. That's what we are going to use. Before that, if we can simplify the expression and reduce it to a simpler expression, it would be much easier for us to calculate. That's what they did here. See, this belongs to real number that's given in the question. That's the demand of the question. You can see we need to prove that the value of mod z equals to 1. How we are going to prove this? First of all, let us simplify this expression. Now this belongs to real number. 1 is a real number. That means this expression belongs to real number. This expression belongs to real number. Now the simple concept, a by b belongs to real number. That means b by a also belongs to real number. That's what they did there. Now why b by a? See, there's another motivation, and very beautiful problems can be framed from this. Basically, those problems are framed in the concept of nth roots of unity. Some sequence kind of problems that we're not going to discuss here, obviously. So whenever you will see this kind of expression, numerator is of larger degree, denominator is of larger degree and numerator is of smaller degree. This is a disadvantage for calculation. We should always try to make the numerator to have larger degree than denominator. So what we did, a by b belongs to real, so b by a should also be real. That's what we did. So this expression belongs to real. Now 1 minus 1 belongs to real, so we can ignore that. Z plus 1 by z belongs to real. Z plus 1 by z belongs to real. Now we will apply that this belongs to real. That means its conjugate will belong to real. Now I know that when a and b are two complex numbers. This is the property of conjugate. We just use that property. Now here what's the property that's been used? Mod z square equals to zz bar. This is the property that we have used here, and we got the required or desired result. Now let's move on to the next method, elegant method that I found the shortest method. Method 1. This method, lot of student directly uses this method for any complex number problem, and yes, this is a useful method. You can solve any complex number problem, but this is not the beautiful method. This is not the beautiful method. This method consumes a lot of time, so we should always avoid this method. We should always avoid this method. This method should always be avoided. This should be the last approach for any complex number question. For any complex number question, our last approach should be this, because this often gives a long calculation to us. Now what's the method 2? See, whenever I said we are given problems like z belongs to real number, whenever, it doesn't matter, this is the motivation. This is the motivation. And also we know that mod z square equals to zz bar, because we are asked to find the value of mod z square. So using these two things as the motivation, we are going to solve the problem. So what we will do, we will take the conjugate of this entire expression. No, here we are not going to simplify. See, this is also short method. So the conjugate, now what we did here, writing mod z square is a hectic thing, so we just replaced mod z by k, and we'll replace z bar. Now z bar is replaced here. Z bar is replaced. After replacing z bar, we got this expression. This you can do in a single step. This you can do in a single step. Now this expression is equal to our original initial expression, that is 2 plus 3z plus 4z square. This is equal to this. This is equal to this. Now you see, what is the coefficient of 4z z square? That's 4, both up and down. That means both in the numerator and denominator. Here it's 2. So let us do a simple thing. Let us multiply the whole expression, because these two are same. Let us multiply the whole expression by 2. By 2. Now let's compare again. What we will get? We will get this expression. Now see, this will be 6k square. 6k square z. Compare it with 3z. Compare it with 3z. You will get k square equals to 1 by 2. And what we have been asked in the question, find the value of mod z square. So you got the answer is 0.5. So this was easiest method, I can say. Now this problem, what's the source of this problem? What's the name of the book? Let us go to that, our original discussion. See, this is the book, Complex Number from A to Z, written by Tito Andrescu and Doreen Antica. Just Google about Tito Andrescu, sir. You will get to know a lot of things about him, how he is enriching the mathematical Olympiad community in his country, America, and had a serious impact in all type of countries as well. It's quite obvious. Now in this book, if we open this book, you will get to see that lot of the problems are irrelevant. I would say majority. Only a handful of 40 problems are useful for us. 40 or 50 problems are useful for us. Similarly, there are a lot of different books whose problems are useful for us. But for a complex number, if you have finished the syllabus, then yes, this is a suggested book. But not all the problems. This is a complete book on complex number of so many pages. I think 500 pages or more. So definitely we're not going to solve the entire book. Only 40 or 50 selected problems are there. Problems based on properties of conjugate, modulus. These are the things that we need to do. Nothing else. Nothing else. So it's better to have a teacher who can select problems for us from such kind of vivid sources. Now let's go to the next question. This question, this is I think this is an original problem created by the panel of the professors. But here, if we just look into the solution of this question, we can see this term z plus 1 by z. What I think is that they saw that z plus 1 by z and they thought to create a new question out of it. Probably. There's a strong possibility this can happen. This can happen. I'm not claiming anything here. But this is also a nice problem. We're not going to discuss this problem. Next question, again taken from that T2 and Rescuers book. Show you the proof. This problem. See, this is the problem. Now look here. Here n equals to 2. This is the general version for n greater than equals to 2. Here n equals to 2. And they just change the iota and lambda. Lambda, they use lambda equals to 1, but they put the lambda here. 1 is here. Z minus z square. See this term. This term is here. And iota, they put here. They just interchange these values. But entire problem's motivation or idea is exactly similar to this problem. Now let us come to the main thing. Obviously, once they have copied from this book, there's a very less possibility that they are going to copy the next year. We can't say anything. J is very unpredictable. They can copy. It's very unpredictable. We cannot predict questions. But we can predict the pattern. We can predict the idea. And the idea and pattern is that after 2016, JEE is more and more inclined towards Olympiad caliber problems. Problems in counting, like I think in 2019 a problem was asked from derangement. Derangement is a part of permutation and combination, and permutation and combination is a part of counting that comes in Olympiad and that chapter. And in Olympiad counting, if you go for the intermediate Olympiads, lot of different questions can be framed, different ideas, different cases. And derangement, if we talk specifically about derangements, the last few years, in the Indian Olympiad qualifiers or the PRMO 2019, I guess, one question was asked from derangement with repetition, that famous Bharat question. They asked how many derangement are possible of the word Bharat. Now, why it's derangement with repetition? You see, this A is repeated twice. That's why this is derangement with repetition. So such kind of concepts, there's a strong possibility will be asked in JEE, future JEE, in the next few years. So what we need to do is that we need to understand those patterns. What are the new problems? And whenever we are solving JEE problems, it's not only solving the problems. Here, that's why I show you. At the beginning of your solution, yes, you should solve a JEE problem in multiple methods. Here we have shown you 3 methods for a single problem. So whenever you are solving, you should write the motivation of the problem, or you should create an empty space like that if you don't recognize the motivation at that time, because after solving a lot of problems you will definitely recognize the motivation of the problem type, and you should write it here for any good question that you are going to solve. This is a very useful strategy. And this year the problem was a little bit on the lengthier side, so it's preferable to do a lot of calculation, improve calculation skills. Never skip calculations, never skip calculations. Now let's come to another problem whose idea again is copied from, this time not from a foreign author, this time from an Indian source, a pure Indian source. This question was asked in 2022, probably in paper 2 we will get this problem. So this is based on integration. Now if you carefully look, this function, the inverse of this function is this function, so on the inverse of this function is this function. Let's prove it here. It's just a one line proof. Y equals to log 2 x cube plus 1. X cube plus 1 is 2 to the power y. X is 2 to the power y minus 1 cube. That's what it is written here. So they are inverse of each other. They are inverse of each other. The same concept, finding integration of inverse, was asked in ISI BMath admission test 2016. Now where can you find this ISI BMath admission test question papers? In this book, Test of Mathematics at the 10+12 level. It's probably it's published by the, it's a book, official book of the, for the preparation of ISI entrance exam. What is ISI? ISI is one of the oldest and most prestigious institute for learning mathematics in our country. It's a wonderful source, wonderful source. But in this book, the starting of the book, you will see a lot of objective problems are there. I feel those problems are below JE advanced level, below JE advanced level. So it's suggested that you should solve the recent question papers of the entrance examination, like 2015 onwards or 2016 onwards. The objective papers, those are also below JE advanced level, but okay, that would give you an edge in JE means preparation, and you will get to know some concepts. This was from 2016. Such kind of concepts can be asked in JE advanced too. But at the end of the book, you will find the true gem, the treasure, the subjective problem. These are the treasures. That's obviously a lot of problems are beyond JE advanced, but these are the brainstorming problems. Now let's come to the last problem that totally gives us the hint that how JE is going towards Olympiad more and more, more and more. See, two players, P1, P2. Game of dice. Okay. Rolling means they are rolling a die. Game of die. X and Y denote the readings on the die rolled by P and X and Y denotes the reading on the die rolled by P1 and P2. If X is greater than Y, if the reading that P1 is getting is greater than P2, then P1 will score 5 points. Otherwise, P2 will score 5 points, and if there is a tie, each player scores 2 points. Fantastic. The game continues till ith round. Again, this problem. This is the closest problem that I found in the internet. So this is from Olympiad book. Two players here. See, roll a die. Game of die. Perfect. Player 1 rolls a fair M-sided die. Here, the catch was that both players were throwing, we can say, standard die or a die that were same number of sides, because nothing is mentioned. That means we consider standard die 6 into 6 die, or standard die, you can say, not 6 into 6. 6 into 6, that means die having 6 faces. Die having 6 faces. But here we use non-standard die. Player 1 rolls m-sided die, player 2 rolls n-sided die. Beautiful problem. The winner is with the higher roll. See, the same concept. And if there's a tie, they will play. So the concept of both these problems are very close to each other, the way the questions are being framed. Now this question is from the Olympiad book, Collection of Dice Problem, by Matthew M. Conroy. So yeah, that's a very good book, but again I'm saying it's never possible for us to go through each and every source, because this time this source are being followed doesn't mean that in 2023 the same books will be followed. Different books will be followed. What we need to understand is the fact JEE is going inclined towards Olympiad. Problems which are different, which are new, which are not regular, that we need to understand. Another tip is that always write motivation of the problem or problem type or whatever you think before writing the solution. That would help you out, and never skip calculation. That's it. So this were the source of few JEE advanced questions. We mapped 4 problems precisely with their sources. Definitely a lot of other problems can be mapped. But the problems in coordinate geometry, again the problems in coordinate geometry, there's a less possibility that we can map those problems, because coordinate geometry is such a topic that we can easily create questions from coordinate geometry. So we don't need to look out for others' problem. We can create our own problem. Again in coordinate geometry, if they want to ask tough questions can be asked. Either make the question lengthy by giving tough calculations, or what we can do is that ask questions from properties of conics. Last year we saw that reflection about a side. The triangle question, I'm not able to remember that properly. Most probably that reflection of orthocenter about any side of triangle lies on the circle of the triangle. Probably this was the property, and the question was asked last year from straight line. From properties of parabola question was asked. And a very favorite concept is that triangle on the diameter of a circle makes 90-degree on the arc. This is again a very favorite concept that's repeatedly used in a lot of JEE problems. So more and more, these are the inclination of JEE problem, recent JEE trends that we need to understand, and accordingly we need to frame our preparation. Thank you.